طيب بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. In our today's session, we are honored actually and pleased to have with us one of the actually two of the esteemed uh, professionals in the field of healthcare and quality management. Our program today, as usual, on Saturday, we'll have a webinar, and then we'll have a short break, and we will resume our activities with the group work as usual. We are pleased and honored to have with us in the first session Dr. Ahmad Muhammad Khoja. On the second session, we'll have with us Ms. Lujain Al-Harbi. Um, uh, uh, the first session was Dr. Ahmad Khoja. Dr. Ahmad Muhammad Khoja, American Board of Emergency Medicine, the American Board of Medical Quality, Emergency Medicine Leadership and Operation Fellowship, and Master of Business Administration. Dr. Ahmad has a very long experience and interesting experience in this field. I will try as much as possible to comprehend the experience he has to introduce him to this session. I'm quite sure that will not be enough to reflect the capacity of Dr. Ahmad in this regard. Dr. Ahmad Muhammad Khoja, the chairman of the Emergency Medicine Department and assistant professor and consultant at King Abdulaziz University Hospital, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, an adjunct assistant professor of emergency medicine in George Washington University, Washington, D.C., USA. Dr. Ahmad Muhammad Khoja is a distinguished leader in emergency medicine with over 2 decades of experience. He currently serves as the chairman of the Emergency Medicine Department at King Abdulaziz University Hospital, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, a position he held since 2021. He's also an adjunct assistant professor in emergency medicine at George Washington University, where he continued to contribute to the academic and the clinical advancement in his field. Dr. Khoja as well earned his Bachelor in Medicine and Surgery in 2007 and went into specialized training in emergency medicine at George Washington University. He became a board certified by the American Board of Emergency Medicine in 2015 and later achieved certified in medical quality in 2017 and 2018. He completed a fellowship in emergency medicine leadership and operation, along with a master of business administration that solidify his expertise in both clinical care and healthcare administration. Throughout his life, Dr. Ahmad and his career has taken onto multiple leadership roles. He's a founding member of the insurance administration at King Abdulaziz University Hospital and served as a deputy medical director at Baksh Hospital Group, where he oversees the accident emergency department. His commitment to the development of emergency medicine and quality serve further, which reflected in his work as a supervisor of the Saudi Arabian Society of Emergency Medicine in the Western region. Dr. Khoja had a robust academic portfolio, having held teaching position at the institution, including Al Qura University and Sina National College. Also, he's actively involved in research with number of publications focusing on neuropediatric emergencies, patients' expectations, and emergency department, and the impact of health providers attire on patient impression. His research also contributed have been published in leading medical journals such as Curious and the Journal of Medical Life. A sought-after speaker, Dr. Khoja, regularly present international conferences, including the Saudi Arabian Society of Emergency Medicine, SASEM, and the Emirates Society of Emergency Medicine, ESEM. He has also played pivotal roles in organizing key medical conferences, including SASIM 23, ESIM 22, and further underscoring his influence in shaping the future of emergency medicine and quality in general. So in recognition of his exceptional contribution, Dr. Khoja as well has received numerous awards, including the King Abdulaziz University Award for exceptional performance in 2019. He is a fellow of both the American College of Emergency Physician and the American Academy of Emergency Medicine, which highlight his standing in the global medical community. And the list of expertise and the bio is very long. However, this is just a snapshot of the privilege and the honor that we have today in our first session presented by Dr. Imad Khoja. So now, without any further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Imad Khoja to present the first session, Strategic Planning, Policies, and Procedure. Dr. Imad, the microphone is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Hisham, for the elaborate introduction. This is very detailed. In short, I'm an emergency medicine American board certified doctor and the chairman of an emergency department with business and quality background. Um, it's my pleasure to be with you here today, guys, and I'm honored by the invite of Dr. Hisham to participate. I've been having issue with my camera this morning, so maybe I'll use the phone in the Q&A part of the presentation, and I'll use the slide without the camera for now, if that's okay with you guys. And also, I'll try my best to make this interactive, so please try to use the chat box. I'll ask you a few questions during the presentation, or you can just speak up and use your mic if you feel comfortable doing that. Let me start by sharing my presentation. Okay, so I was asked today to speak to you guys about the strategic planning, policy, and procedure. This is a very big topic and very heavy material. I tried my best to summarize it in a way that will add to you in the future and help you uh, execute a project or execute one of those tasks in a scientific, systematic way. I'll give you some real life examples, and hopefully you guys will have fun, inshallah, today. So this is our agenda. I will talk in the first part about the strategic planning, and then we'll spend some time on policy and procedure, and lastly, an open discussion. So this is a 1.5 hour talk. I will try to reserve a decent amount of time for the discussion at the end, but let's aim for 30 minutes each for those agendas and the agenda items. So the level of discussion, there are many level of discussion on doing strategic planning or writing policies. There is a national level, like that's at the country level. There is a hospital level, and there is a departmental level. There is even more granular levels. Um, um, while I'm preparing for this presentation, I thought what's going to suit you guys best, or what may benefit most of you, it's organizational level or hospital level. So this is where I'm going to be focusing on. But the same concept that I'll talk about, you can use it on any of those levels. So let's start by strategic planning. So what is strategic planning? Strategic planning is the process of defining an organizational direction and making decision on allocating resources and pursue this direction. So essentially, what I'm trying to say is having a plan for your organization that serve a specific target or a specific goal. Why it's important? Because it ensures alignment with the institutional goal and adapt to the changes or the challenges. So how do we do that? The big part of having your strategic plan is to have a clear vision and mission. Um, the vision is this is the long-term plan for the organization or for the hospital or what it aspires to be. So whatever strategic plan you're going to make on an organization level, it should align with the bigger vision. If you don't align with the bigger vision, most likely you will not serve that vision, and or most likely that plan will fail. The mission, it defines how the institution achieves that plans. So what are the resources, what are their strengths and capacities to work on or to utilize to achieve that plan. Another, after you align it with the vision and vision, then you want to do a SWOT analysis. Are you guys familiar with the SWOT analysis? Yes, no? Good. So this is one of the basic technique to analyze your position. Essentially, it's an acronym for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. So you wanna know what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what are your opportunities and threat. So since you guys know it, then I'm not gonna spend much time talking about it. We'll discuss it in the example more. Lastly, you want to have a clear goal and objective from your strategy. Have a SMART goal. A SMART goal is a specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound goal. So having a clear SMART goal will help you achieve that strategic plan. At the end, you want to have an action plan and a timeline, and then you evaluate your position and your execution. So let's talk about an example. Uh, So this is one of the organizations I've been working with, or I'm still currently working in. It's a hospital where, let's say it's a hospital on the right. This is the older hospital. It's a very well-restricted institution. They have all the specialty and building is old, staff is expert and um, with a great reputation. But the market is evolving. So uh, two new hospitals opened. They're both of those hospitals are OBGYN pediatric hospitals. Part of the old hospital uh, population group is to treat of obs and gynae cases. But with those two new hospitals now, uh, the patient population or the segment of patients are starting to the older hospitals started to lose those population. So how would you develop a strategic plan to fix that issue? What do you guys think? So let's go back to our vision and mission. So vision and mission, the vision of the institution is to provide an excellent care that's not matched in the region. for all their patients. That's their vision. Let's spend some more time on SWOT analysis. We will analyze our strengths. So in the old hospital, we have a very well expert staff. They're able to manage complicated cases and advanced cases. Their weaknesses, the institution is, the building itself is old. The staff themselves are not the youngest generation. They're a bit older. Um, what are the opportunities? So the opportunities that there is an increasing population in general in the city, but the threat is the two new hospitals are capturing some of or most of your patients. So how would you suggest you guys we go about that? Just throw in, if you can speak or you can throw in stuff in the comment. So how do you develop a strategy to mitigate that issue? Now you're going to lose some patients. Your numbers are starting going down. So recruiting more staff, okay, that's one thing. Update the building, that's going to be expensive. And recruiting staff is going to be expensive. So you guys remember I told you that the older hospital, they treat all the specialty, but the two new hospitals, they treat only obs and gynae and pediatric patients. Is that going to help with building a new strategy? So this is what we did. We did a bunch of things. Uh, the the demand is there. There are deliveries always, but you need to change your approach to those cases. So the most of the deliveries are having a pregnancy and having a baby is a physiological process. So it's very rare that you would need an intervention. So the newer hospital, they're focused on the day-to-day normal pregnancy, normal deliveries, and they're good at that. If you have a complication because you don't have the infrastructure or the other subspecialties, it's going to be difficult for them to handle those cases. So one of our strategic position is to move away from yes, so to move away from general ops and gynae and to go more to a specialized care, as uh, uh, Ms. Rawan or Dr. Rawan saying. So we are focused on the complicated cases. Those cases tend to generate more revenue for the institution, and you have the infrastructure for them. So it's easier for you to capture those patients and to create a more revenue from them. So if you have a woman with a complicated pregnancy or a placenta accreta or placenta previa, it's not easy for her to deliver in one of those new hospitals and because they don't have a blood bank, they don't have a urologist on house, they don't have a general surgeon on house, they don't have an ICU. So you can utilize all those resources. And with time, you'll start to develop reputation that you can handle difficult cases. Because in the first part of this change or the first part of this threat, the focus is going to be on the hospitality service. So whoever has the newer hospital, whoever has the best furniture or the better looking place will capture the patients. But with time, the reputation or the quality that you provide will last. So that's one thing that we focused on is to focus on the specialized care. Another thing that we looked into is to control the budget or make it cheaper. And how do you make the service cheaper? How do you, if a delivery cost, let's say, $2,000, how do you make it cheaper? Yeah, so insurance will pay, but insurance will want to direct their patient to the cheapest hospital or the hospital that charge them less. So how would you charge them less? nobody is gonna fund you. You are the hospital. You are the one who is trying to create revenue. So the hospital is like any other business. You need to create fund and revenue for yourself. So if you are pricing something, what determines the price? Like if I'm gonna sell a sandwich, what determines the price of the sandwich? Okay, the cost and the quality of the service and the component. So you want the quality of the service is is judged by the how much budget you have. The component or the content is decided by how much money you're willing to spend. So the quality and the component, they're all decided by how much money you want to send or spend on the cost. So if you want to make the sandwich cheaper, you might use a lower ingredient, a lower quality ingredient, or you might use instead of using a three Michelin star chef, you might use some regular person. What other things that you can control in the cost? Okay, so the number being sold, the number being sold is a key thing. So what does the number of being of sandwiches being sold gonna contribute to your cost? Have you guys heard of economy of scale or overhead cost? So okay, so overheads are the costs that you cannot control. So, for example, if you have a restaurant and you're making sandwiches, what are the fixed costs or the costs that you cannot reduce? So, quality of the ingredient you can reduce, quality of the staff you can reduce. Some of the costs that you cannot reduce is electricity. Like if you have to pay electricity, whether you're making excellent sandwich or bad sandwich. Building maintenance, yes. Rental. So those are all overheads. Um, Big part of controlling the cost is to know how to control your overheads. So in the case of having a labor and delivery or pregnancy, what's your overheads? Yeah, so if you have unnecessary services, you will remove them. But most of the time, in real life, there is nothing unnecessary. You will include all the services. You already have removed those services. So the main overhead in hospitals, the building is one, but the bigger part or the bigger chunk of the overhead is salaries. So doctor salaries or nurses salaries are the bigger chunk of this cost. So if you have 10 deliveries or if you have one delivery, you still need to pay the salary of the doctors and nurses. Part of controlling the overheads is to control that cost. So when those two new hospitals emerged, they're starting giving higher salaries for the physician. So people are now in our hospital, the older one, we need to make a decision. Do we pay our physician more, or do we let we pay them less and then we'll go to the another hospital? So what do you guys think we should do? So Russia says we should pay them more. Yeah, so that's a dilemma. You don't know what is the right answer. We did not pay them more though. So pay them more. Then this is happening in Saudi Arabia. So there is a lot of new hospital opening, and it started a bidding war between hospitals. And it's good for us as doctors, but it's bad for hospitals because the everybody is paying even more, but there is no real change in the quality of the service. So what we actually did in this older hospital is we reduced the number of staff. So we did not increase the salaries. If someone gets a bigger offer, we try to facilitate their transition to another to the other institution. If you increase the work hour, you will increase the salaries. So we try to help them transition to another institution. Uh, it created a good vibes or a good bond between us and those physicians who are moving to another institution, and that helped us reduce what? The overheads. So the overheads, the staff to patient ratio is still the same. Oh, it's going down because there is new hospitals opening and no more patients. The patients population are the same. So what we did is we reduced the number of staff. When we reduced the number of physician and nurses, we were able to decrease the overhead of the delivery. So instead of if it's $2,000, most likely 1,700 or 1,800 of that money is going into paying the cost. So we reduced the cost from, let's say, 1,800 to 1,400. Now we can offer those services for cheaper. So the new art hospital, they're charging the old prices. We are charging less than them because we lowered our overhead, and also we are focused on advanced cases. So those are the two strategies that we developed. Um, and the goal is so let's apply the smart. So what's our goal? Our goal is to increase revenue to the hospital. It's a very specific goal that we need a certain percentage of increase in income. So net revenue, not total number of cases. We don't want to increase the number of cases. What matters is the net revenue. How much money are you making at the end of the day? You might treat 100 patients, but if you treat 100 patients at loss, then you're losing money. But if you treat 10 patients and making profit on those 10, then you're making money. So that's our goal. That's it, how specific it is. How do we measure it? We measure it by looking at the balance sheet of the hospital. Is it achievable? We think it's achievable. Is it relevant? It's very relevant. Is it time bound? We did this intervention for 6 months. And now we're in the after that intervention, we looked at the execution. As I told you before, we moved those some of the physicians that we think they are not able to handle advanced cases. Uh, uh, the workload has already decreased because there is two new hospital opening. So we transitioned those doctors who cannot handle the complex cases to the new hospitals or to the institution that they want to go to, and then we looked at our balance sheet or our income. We Now we're 6 months after 6 months. Uh, we are very good at our number. We think the two new hospitals are suffering, and one of them has already changed their position in the market. So they're trying to move on from obstetric to more to other specialties. Um, peds is not a money making a specialty because pediatrics usually is a healthy population. So if you open an obs and gynae hospital, your main revenue comes in from the gynae part, obs and gynae part, not from the pediatric part. Um, so one of the hospital is trying to change their position. The other one is still in the money spending phase. I don't think they know where they're headed, but I think our position is good. On the longer term, like 1 to 3 years from now, I think we will be standing, and the other two hospitals, they either lower their quality way beyond what they're doing right now to just to control their cost, or they will bankrupt. So that's how we develop the strategy. What do you guys think? Uh, is it going to be successful? It's going to fail? No? Everybody is conservative. No one wants to. Yes. So it could work. How do we know? We will continue monitoring and evaluating. If it's the initial numbers or the initial indicators looks good after 6 months. Now we're almost a year into it, and we're still doing good. So we'll continue monitoring. If we need to change that strategy, we'll change it. If it's okay, then we'll continue. So that's how we develop the strategy. Sounds good? Okay, so factor influence your strategy, internal factors. So your resources. Can we build a new hospital? If we can, that'll be great, but we cannot. So that's why we cannot open. We cannot build a new hospital or upgrade the furniture. Uh, uh, Facility expertise. As I told you guys, we relied heavily on our uh, um, hospital in non-OB cases. So we have a very excellent surgeon, we have an excellent ICU, we have an excellent blood bank. So you need all of those services in developing your strategy. Organizational culture. So the culture in the hospital is focused on quality of care, not the hospitality part of the business. So that's why we did not uh, invest a lot in upgrading the hospital or the facility. External factor, accreditation. Accreditation in this example is not an issue. Regulatory requirement, you have to comply with regulatory requirement. For example, some of the regulatory requirement for the other hospitals is you cannot operate an obs and gyne hospital. So if you're doing normal deliveries, you can do them with midwives. But as per regulation, you cannot have only midwives. You have to have physicians. So they have to hire a physician. They cannot operate on midwives only. Global trends. Um, did you guys notice that globally the rate of C-sections are higher? Yes, no? Yeah. So there are a lot of regulation on this because who does the C-section? The doctors. And who does the normal delivery? The midwives. So for doctor to be relevant, yes, for the Optangaya doctor to be relevant, they tend to do more C-section. So now in Saudi Arabia, they're looking into this and they're monitoring each physician C-section rate. It's very difficult to judge because the one part says that they're doing the unnecessary C-section. The other part is saying, well, they're handling the difficult cases. That's why they're doing more C-section. Because if they're handling a lot of normal deliveries, then there is no point of them working as an obstetrician doctor. In our hospital, we're monitoring the ratio very closely. And that's part of developing the quality of care. So we don't want to expose patients to unnecessary C-sections. Stakeholder engagement, involvement involve facilities, students, healthcare industry, whatever your stakeholders. Okay. Those are some of the tools that you can use. You can Google them. You can do a balanced score sheet, a Gantt chart, or scenario planning. There are many other tools. I just throw in a bunch of names here for you to Google and look into. Okay, so this is our first part. That's a brief way or just an overview on how to do strategy. Uh, does anyone have any questions? Okay, so let's move to policy and procedure. So this is the second part of the talk. So what is the difference between policy, procedure, pathway, or guideline? What do you guys think? Because a lot of people use those terminologies interchangeably. What's the difference? And I think this is the most important slide in the policy and procedure part. If you understand this slide, I think the rest should be fine. So policy is the written let's say agenda or written items by the institution that you have to follow. There is no option or you can follow or you don't follow. You have to follow it. If you did not follow it, you will be liable. Okay, great. Yes. Okay, we'll talk about strategy later on, Rani. So policies are rules, exactly. You have to follow them. Procedures, it tells you the process of following that rules. Excellent. Guidelines are recommendation. So it's optional. You can follow them. You don't have to follow them. It's recommendations for you. And usually they're research driven. So you can give your staff guidelines on how to do certain procedures or certain tasks. Pathway is an advanced guideline. So pathway, you just create a track or sequence of steps for the guidelines. I like to think of it as the procedure part of the policy. So pathways is the procedure part of the guideline. So it's the steps of doing the guidelines. It's not exactly, but it's driven from the guidelines. You don't have to follow the pathway. It's not necessary to follow the pathway. Um, so the danger comes in when you treat policies as guidelines or as pathways, or you treat procedures as pathways. So when you say in your policy, for example, that if you want to uh, uh, treat diarrhea in your policy, you should give the patient um, gram negative, or your first line of treatment is ciprofloxacillin, for example. If a patient comes in and he has diarrhea, and the doctor think it's viral, and he does not give him antibiotic, and something bad happened to that patient, for example, and the diarrhea is viral, he did not need antibiotic. What's up for some reason, he developed complication. Uh, the patient's lawyer, the first thing he will ask for is your policy. If you have a policy for on how to treat diarrhea, or if you have a policy and procedure on how to treat diarrhea. If you did not follow that policy, now you're liable because you did not follow the institution policy. Although you did the right thing, but you did not follow the policy. So that makes you liable. When you design a policy for the institution, you need to keep that in your mind. Policies are rules or statement. They should not be specific. You should have some room for interpretation in your policy. Making strict policy is not a healthy practice. And the other thing we'll talk about is enforcing stuff through policy. That's not a healthy way of doing it. Okay, so please differentiate, because most of the institution, and it's terrible. You get so many of your staff and your institution itself into legal liability because the way you write your policies or the way you state your procedure. So make sure that those are rules, and if you write them, you expect everyone to follow them with no exception. When you write them, you need to have some room for interpretation or room for some flexibility. Okay. So these are the definition. Essentially, policy is a guideline or principle for decision making in your institution. Procedures are step-by-step instruction on how to implement those policies. The purpose is to ensure consistency, compliance, clarity in operation for the institution. And if we have time, we can talk about lean management and Six Sigma and how you use those in your policy drafting. So how do you develop policy? First, you need to identify your need, analyze your gap. Have you guys heard about gap analysis before? Gap analysis, yes, good. So it's essentially you want to know what's your current situation, what's the situation that you want to go to, and what is the gap, and how do you reach there. So you analyze the gap, research, and look into benchmark, review other institution policies, review uh, um, uh, exactly. Thank you, Sophia. Review what the society are saying in this matter, and then you draft your policy. Now with ChatGPT, it's very easy to draft a policy. And I want to, by the way, since we talked about ChatGPT, I want to apologize for Hisham. He had to read a very long bio. It's because I put in my CV in ChatGPT and I told him to draft me a bio. I did not expect it to be that long, so sorry, Hisham. But use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an excellent tool. Uh, Consultation and approval. Involve your stakeholders in drafting your policy, and then implementation. Ensure the staff or the students are comfortable with the policy. Then review cycles. Uh, Reassess and review how your policy is working. Um, so example, and let's spend some time with the example. Um, have you guys ever heard of a one-way referral policy in a hospital? Okay, okay. So I'll explain to you how this works. So I'm an ER doctor. In the ER, it used to be the ER used to be staffed by general practitioners, someone who just graduated medical school. Where do you work? Usually, you send him to the ER. What does he do in the ER? He just see the patient and he start calling other services. Like he calls the medicine if he thinks it's a medical case. He calls surgery if it's a surgical case, pediatric, whatever he needs to call, orthopedic, urology, neurology. He just making phone calls. Um, Emergency medicine has evolved from that model. In the States or North America, they started to have specific training for emergency physician. What does that mean? So they take a general practitioner and they give him residency training. Residency training is where you become a specialized doctor, and he specializes in emergencies. And this model started about 50 years ago, and it has proven to be very successful. So why? Because big part of medicine is quality and finance, or quality and money. So when you train a doctor to treat a very specific thing, so he only handle emergencies, he's going to be an excellent physician in treating all emergency cases. So you improve the quality, and then how do you improve the cost? They charge a lot of money. Those emergency doctors, you need to pay them uh, double or triple a regular physician. But you reduce the cost by lowering the number of staff you need to have in house. So if you have an emergency doctor, you don't need to have an internist in house. You don't need to have a surgeon in house. You don't need to have an orthopedic in house. You don't need to have a pediatrician in house. You don't need to have an obs and gynae in house. So all those doctors yes, so all those doctors, you don't need them to be on call 24 hours. You just have an ER doctor. He manages the cases until the morning. Then the specialized doctors come in and take over. So that's how the emergency medicine doctor. That's what we do as an emergency doctor. So when I came here to Saudi, that was like 6, 7 years ago. We had a problem. So you start managing the case, and then you call the surgeon. The surgeon says, "Well, this is not a surgical case, so I'm well, I'll give you a more specific example. We have a necrotizing fasciitis, neck fash. So Nick Crash, you called the surgeon. The surgeon said, well, this is not surgical. This is in the limb. Should be covered by the orthopedic. They should do amputation, for example. So you called the orthopedic. The orthopedic said, well, the surgeon can do it. Why are you calling me? But let me tell you something. This patient is in sepsis now. So you need to call the internal medicine. I sign off of the case. So the general surgeon signed off, the orthopedic signed off. Then you call the medical doctor. The medical doctor says, well, yes, he's in sepsis, but now he's getting sicker. So maybe you call ICU, and he needs to have his infection controlled. He needs the source controlled. So first, after you control the source, then you call me, and he's stable. You call me. So you sign off. So you call ICU, tell him like this patient is sick. He's about to die. Come and take a look at him. He comes. He looks at that patient. He says, "Well, yes, you're right. He's about to die, but the problem is you need to amputate his leg. So how about you call the surgeon to amputate his leg, and then you call me?" And he signs off. And so everybody keeps signing off this patient, and nobody is taking. Yeah, so it's a cycle of signing off. So that's how we developed the one-way referral policy. So the one-way referral says, as an ER doctor, I will send the patient to you, uh, um, whether you like it or not, whether you think it's appropriate or not. You cannot send it back to the ER. You cannot refer back to the ER. So let's go back to the steps that we used here. So we know that there is a gap. Those patients are being signed off from a service to another, from service to another, and we want the care to be streamlined. So we reviewed what are the existing policies and the benchmarks. So in the state, there is a one-way referral policy in some of the institutions. So we used those as a benchmark. We drafted the policy. Our scope was and definition was clear that we needed to streamline the process of care. We involved all the other stakeholders. So when we had few mortalities, we collected those mortalities, and we presented them in the hospital M&M committee. All the department chair were there, and we told them that this will keep happening because there is no accountability unless we do something, and this is what we suggest we do. We presented the one-way referral policy, so all stakeholders approved it because now it's not one person who's going to take the hit for the service. Everybody is accountable, and it has been implemented. So now it's been 5 years for the implementation of this policy. We had a bunch of review. I still get pushback on one-way referral because someone is not happy, someone does not think it was appropriate. We try to tweak and modify. We did some, for example, orthopedic and surgeon are still fighting on who is going to do the amputation, and they agreed that on if it's on limbs, that it's going to be orthopedic. If it's on trunk, is surgeon. And it's going to be like some things are very weird. Like I remember in the States, who puts the chest tube, so we can put it as an ER doctor, but the surgeons also wants to put the chest tube. So we decided that on Saturdays, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday is by the ER, and the rest of the days are by surgeons. Why? This is what we agreed on as two departments. And so 5 years from that policy, we're still using it. And what's funny is now ICU is adopting that policy. So do you guys know what a closed unit ICU? Do you know what's the difference between closed and open ICU? Okay, so I'm gonna assume no. So closed ICU, when you say we have a closed ICU, that means you have an intensive care doctor who admit the ICU patient under his name. Open ICU is each patient is admitted under the specialties consultant. So if it's a surgical patient, he will be admitted under the surgeon name in the ICU. The surgeon is the MRP or the most responsible physician for that patient. So that's an open ICU. So you will see you go to the ICU floor, you'll see one patient under Dr. So and so, who's a surgeon. This patient is under Dr. X, who's an internist. This patient is under Dr. Y, who's an orthopedic, and so on. That's an open ICU. So this is an old model. The new model is you have one intensive care doctor, and everybody is admitted under his name with consultation from other services if they need. So we have a closed ICU in our institution, and they had the same problem. So when they try to when the patient is stable and he needs to go to the floor, then the medicine refused to take him, the surgeon refused to take him, and there is a lot of bounce back between the two services. So they adopted our policy. So they identified that there is a gap there, and the care is being delayed. They reviewed peer department, not institution. So they adopted our policy, and now that was like 3 months ago. ICU now is using one-way referral policy also. So that's our example. Do you have any questions? Okay. Also, PDSA cycle. Do you guys know what the PDSA cycle is? Good, good. So we don't have to spend time on. I think a PDSA cycle is the most successful model in developing policies and procedure. Exactly. And I would suggest that you guys use it. It's very underutilized. It's very simple, very effective, and you can also build on your cycle. So you start your first cycle, then you do your other cycle, you improve more, you improve more, you improve more. In my personal opinion, I think PDSA cycle is the best model to develop to improve quality in healthcare institutions. So best practice for policy development. So clear and consistency. Make your policy clear. Avoid difficult language. Make the policy flexible. It should allow room for some context-specific adjustment. So as I told you guys, if you make it very specific, for example, if you say you don't intubate your medication, you write a policy for intubation, and you write use succinylcholine as the muscle relaxant, and you write the specific dose, and etomidate, for example, as the medication for sedation. If for some reason those medications are not available, or there is a short in those national short on those medication, and someone uses other medication to intubate and something bad happen, then either the physician or maybe both the physician and the institution will be liable because they did not adhere to policy and they used different medication, although those medication were appropriate. Like you did not have succinylcholine, you used draconium, but your policy did not allow for flexibility. So if you're going to take one thing from my lecture, please take this. I see it a lot in the policies in Saudi Arabia or um, in many institutions. They write policies in a way that's very specific, which is not a healthy way of writing policy. Make sure you involve all the stakeholders when you write a policy that ensures adherence. So you don't want to be the one writing policies and getting approval from CEO without getting all stakeholders involvement, and then suddenly they say they see a policy that involves them without their knowledge, and now they have to create a counter policy, and and then you create a counter policy. Then they create a counter policy. That's not a healthy way of doing it. Uh, One other thing is that I want to say here is please don't use policies to enforce. I mean, policies are written to to be enforced, but if you want to change the practice of the provider, uh, using policies to do that, I think is the easy way, but it's the weakest way of doing it. You want to change the provider practice, educate them, give them new tools, instead of writing policies or enforcing it by policy. Enforcing it by policy, uh, in my opinion, is not the best way of doing it, and it doesn't ensure consistency. It makes everybody liable with not that measurable, with not that much benefit. آه، ممكن نحن maybe نحن في العالم العربي شوية متعودين ال enforcing by policy, but please avoid doing that. Resistance to change, there's always some resistance to change. Exactly. Training and education is the way to change practice. Improve the resistance through clear communication. If you make the physician life easier, then they will follow your whatever changes they're gonna make. Uh, but if you want the physician to write a complete medical chart, and if you give them templates that's gonna make them write chart faster, then they will adhere to your policy or to the change that you want to make because you gave them a, a better solution. So try to make it a win-win situation. Who's responsible for developing institution policy? It's departments and hospital administration. Well, to be honest, essentially anyone can be a part of developing a policy. Like you usually they start from a gap or a need, and then you work on it and you develop a policy. How to enforce policy compliance, make people accountable. As I told you in our example, so a one-way referral, that means what the MRP is accountable. What's the difference between policy and protocol? Policy is written in stone, like you have to follow. Protocols, guidelines, those things that have some leniency. Like this is the guideline. It's a recommendation, but you don't have to follow it. I think protocol is more like a pathway. So this is the pathway for the patient who comes into the ER, for example. He goes to triage, he goes to then registration, then he's seen by the physician. And that's it. So how much time do we have? So we have half an hour. That's good. So we're on time. We have 30 minutes for questions. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. Let me use my phone so you guys can see me and I can see you.
Recording in progress.
I don't know if you can see me or not, but so yes, guys, any questions? Yes, Dr. Hisham.
Thank you very
Please feel
much.
free to speak up.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmad. I would like to invite my colleagues. This is a huge opportunity having you with us. So ask as much as possible to Dr. Ahmad. Perhaps I will start, Dr. Ahmad. I mean, there's always a dilemma between balancing, having a balance between the need of compliance or complying to a policy and the culture of positive motivation towards providing a health care. And you stated the best way is to educate the healthcare providers. And I know that having a strategic plan, policies, and procedures is one of these approaches. So my question to you is that from your experience, being working in the healthcare part and the medical education part at the university, how do you strike a balance between what needs to be followed strictly and having a culture of positive um, uh, 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 positive motivation towards healthcare or medical education? Thank you.
Thank you. It's very difficult, Dr. Hisham. But let me give you an example. So, in our hospital, we have a very high rate of uh, hospital-acquired infection in the ICU. There are a lot of policies about washing hands and changing gowns and how to do contact precautions and airborne precautions or droplet precautions. They're written in books. Nobody has ever, I don't know if people are reading those policies or not, but educating the staff about how important it is and showing them the result, the impact on the patient, uh, how what are like you're a doctor or you're a nurse, you're trying to help that patient. There is no doctor or healthcare provider who wants to harm the patient, but showing them the impact of lack of compliance to that policy uh, is very powerful. In one institution, the uh, Ministry of Health KPIs, and they showed them to their staff. They made a grand round. I was part of that. I was attending that grand round. So they made a big grand round. They got everybody in the hospital in a big hall, and they showed them the data uh, infection rate and the rate of hospital-acquired infection in the institution. And we told them that we did an internal investigation, and these are the result. These departments, they're lacking in their hand hygiene, they're lacking their this department, the storage is short on certain supplies. So we will address that. You address that as a provider, and everybody is now understanding how important to adhere to those policies. I worked in one department, in one ER department, and they had 64 policies on how to manage ER patients. And it was too much. And my first uh, thing, like one of the first thing I did in that department is just to remove all those policies. You cannot control your staff by policy like this. You need to have policy. Um, we ended up with 546 policies, but you cannot write and those old policies maintaining them is very laborious task. So they have a policy on how to manage chest pain patient, but the definition of the pathology has changed, but the policy is still not. It was very funny. In one of the policies, it was so old on how to manage epistaxis. The first line of treatment is to use cocaine. Nobody uses cocaine anymore in epistaxis. So if you have too many policies, it's going to be very difficult for you to keep updating them and maintaining them, and people will not adhere. And you develop this kind of culture of people not adhering to policies because they're just too much. So it's very difficult balance to strike, but to get it right is you will have an amazing outcome.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Imad. I have a question here from the chat from Dr. Rasha, who said that in developing countries with low resources and income, is the strategy planning will be the same?
Of course not. The steps to develop a strategies are the same. So it doesn't matter where you're developing a strategy, high income, low income, high resources, low resources, you still follow the same steps. But your goals and your strategies are different. As I told you in the example, the institution I'm working with, we don't have that much money. Like we don't have unlimited resources. Otherwise, we would have built a new hospital and we competed with the rest of the market. But you need to work with whatever resources that you have to develop your strategy or your policy. Again, focus on your vision, focus on your mission, and align them with your policy, with your strategy.
Uh, Yes, that's an excellent point. The system, the approach of developing the strategy plan is the same. However, whatever is in the strategy plan would be different. Um, that perhaps take me to ask my colleague, uh, given your current reference from where you stand, working on a hospital or in a health profession education facility. May I ask my colleague, does anyone participated in an activity of strategic planning or developing a policy and procedure? And what are the most common um, challenges, if you would, that you faced, and you would like to address those challenges to Dr. Imad to take some of his, recommendation to how we can um, uh, mitigate those challenges and go forward. Anyone participated on that? Now, waiting for the answer, I have a question here from Dr. Anura, who said, how are policies communicated and understood by employees? A question to you, Dr. Ahmed.
So, as we mentioned in the lecture, the language needs to be simple. If you are introducing um, a groundbreaking policy, like something very new, something that never been heard of, you need to develop a lot of education around that policy. Like you need to develop town hall meetings, ground rounds. If you have accountability issue, like you're writing your policy in a way, for example, getting blood from the blood bank. You want the blood to come in time, but you state your policy that blood needs to be taken from the blood bank within 1 hour, but you did not make anyone accountable. So make sure you in your policy to make people accountable, like the role of who, and that's in the procedure part. The one who's going to bring the blood from the blood bank is the porter on duty, or is the nurse on duty. So make people accountable in your policy. Make that helps you adhere or helps your institution comply, and then get everybody on board. Like you need to make people understand why do we have those policies and what purpose they serve, and then that comes in naturally. Their accountability or their adherence will come in naturally, and I think this is the best way of doing it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahmed, for the response, and Dr. Noura for the question. Now, I have a question from Dr. Sophia Safa, sorry, who said, who's responsible for developing the policies in the institution?
So we answered this. It's everybody's responsibility. The starting the identifying the issue is the end users. They identify the needs or the issue, and then drafting the policies and getting the approval is through the department's head and the admin of the institution and the principal of the university, for example.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Another question from Najwa Abdullah said, what is the difference between the procedure and the protocol? You touched upon this partially, however, just to emphasize on this point, the difference between procedures and protocol.
So procedure is part of the policy. So this is how you apply the policy. Protocol, in my mind, is similar to the pathways. Is you don't have to adhere to them. They They are steps on how to do stuff. Depends on how your institution defines protocols. Maybe in some institution they define it as procedure part of the policy, but usually in general protocols are things that you need to follow or you need to do in order to do some kind of a task. So look into your institution, see how they define protocol or how do they define procedure. But in general, procedures are the way to implement the policy. So it's part of the rule book, and protocol are similar to guidelines or pathways.
Great. Thank you very much. There's another question here from Dr. Huda, who said that what are the key indicators of success when evaluating the impact of health policy or a strategy?
So your indicator of success has to be decided before you implement policy or the protocol. So if we are doing this policy to reduce the rate of blood culture contamination, then this is your key of this is your success metric. If you did this strategy to improve the income of this institution, so this is your success measurement. So usually ideally you want to develop it before you have your measurement before you implement the policy, so you know how effective they are. And this is essentially the PDSA cycle. So if you do the PDSA cycle correctly, you part of it is developing a measurement of your problem before you implement any intervention.
Absolutely. And perhaps I link this question to the following one, which addressed by Dr. Samar, who said that how organization can overcome employee resistant policies. And I know, generally speaking, that having a change management strategy is one area to consider. Um, uh, how you can respond to Dr. Samar question regarding overcoming employee resistance policies?
Oh, yeah. So we mentioned some of the things that you could do, but I'll ask her back with another question. Do you think pay them money will help adherence to policies and procedure, like using money as a way to motivate them? Yes, no, yeah.
So Dr. Huda, who asked the question, said in the chat, no. However, Dr. Samah mentioned yes, and Dr. Nora said, I don't think so.
So money is an easy way to motivate people, but it's not an ideal way, and it can fire back very badly. Like if you use money to motivate people, then you're introducing the idea of, is this worth doing, well, worth my time to do if for uh, $1 or $2. So try to avoid money as a motivation in general. I'll tell you a story about one of my business professors who was trying to elaborate on that point. So he said he's a business professor. He was one of the founder of Capital One Bank. So Capital One is one of the biggest bank in the United States. So he's a founding member. He gets a monthly check from them on each month. He doesn't need to work. He just comes in to the university just because he has free time and he just wants to have fun with us. So what he does in the weekend, he goes to a ski resort, and every weekend he's there, and he's having fun. There is nothing. He doesn't have any responsibility. He'll just go to the ski resort, chat with the other people who comes into the resort, and he's having fun. So the owner of the resort saw him one day. He said, "Well, we have those classes to teach the tourists on how to ski. If you want, we can sign you up as an instructor in those classes." And he was like, "Well, why not? I mean, I'm there anyway, and I'm teaching them anyway. So it would be more fun if I have a clear title, and I'll start teaching them, and I will give them classes. And he paid them like X amount of money as like minimum wage. So he didn't do it for the money. He was just doing it because it was fun. And he was happy. The tourists were happy. The resort owner was happy. So everything was well and good. One day there was a snowstorm, and the weather was bad. Everybody was uh, tired. Nobody wants to go out to ski. There, like few tourists came in. They have signed up for the class and they want to have the class. So he's an instructor. He told him, "Well, the weather is not good today. How about we just cancel the class and reschedule it for another day?" And then the resort owner came in. He was like, "No, we pay you money to do those classes. So you better do the class and not cancel it." So what he did, he said, I went out and I did the class, and that was the last class I did for them. And they couldn't hire anyone else to do the classes with the same amount of money I was taking. So sometimes using money to push on people or to motivate people can fire back badly, and they couldn't find another instructor. So they lost the instructor. He lost his job. He lost his class privileges, and it was lost for everyone. So try to avoid money as a motivator. It can work in certain instances. I remember in one of the institution we used or they used the surgeon fees as a bonus. So the surgeon started to do unnecessary surgeries to the patient. So you need to be careful on how to use money as a motivator.
Absolutely. And yes, money talks, but talking in a positive way or negative way, this is depends on the context. So yes, this is very,
Okay.
very, very important. I would like to recall here also participation from Dr. Safia. Dr. Safia is one of the quality leaders in Sudan. She participated responding to this question by saying participation of concerned employees in written policies and procedures gives them ownership feeling and enhance commitment to follow. So thank you very much, Dr. Safia. There is a question here from Dr. Rachel who said, how often do you review the policies? This is one of the commonest question I heard in this topic precisely. So your answer to that, Dr. Imam.
So how often? There is no specific time interval to review the policy. You can review them whenever you want. Like 2 weeks ago, we had a policy that we disagreed on, and they told me there is another policy that says the same thing. Well, I said that's time to review that policy too. But in general, the JCI or the accreditation entities, they give you 2 year intervals. So after 2 years, you have to review them, whether you feel the need that you need to review them or not, but you have to review them. If there is an issue, you can review them anytime you want, and these are not Quran. You just change them according to what you need.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dr. Imad. Any further question for Dr. Imad? Great. No news, no answer. That's a good news. So thank you very much, Dr. Imad. It was a privilege having you with us. It means a lot having a reputable name in the field of emergency medicine, healthcare leadership, and quality management in Saudi Arabia, joining us, the Master of Health Profession Education program led by the EDC, Faculty of Medicine, University of Khartoum. On behalf of all the coordination team of the master degree, I would like to extend my greatest appreciation for you giving us the time and some of your experience in these important topics today. A motivational word, final word from your end will be great, Dr. Imad, to conclude our webinar today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hisham. It was a pleasure for me to be with you guys today. I hope I added something. Um, I know you guys are doing great thing, and I'm very grateful for you, Dr. Hisham, for reaching out to me. You made or thinking about me to join you guys. Thank you so much, Dr. Hisham. It means a lot to me, and it means I really appreciate being with you guys. Thank you so much. I hope you guys had fun in this past hour.
Thank you very much, Dr. Imad, for your time, and looking forward meeting you in person soon, inshallah.
Inshallah, بإذن الله.
Have a good day. Um,
Thank you.
uh, Guys, now we'll have a break um, for 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, let's say 15 minutes, and we'll go back, inshallah ta'ala, uh, to our group work. Uh, we will have with us in the group work um, Miss Lujain Harbi from MOH. So I'm pleased here to introduce how Miss Lujain Al Harbi, who had kindly agreed to join us on the group work activity. So let's have a break and be here, inshallah ta'ala, in 9 uh, 40 8:40 Sudan time, inshallah. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. حياكم الله. نستمر إن شاء الله في اليوم. The second part of today's activity, as usual, will have a group work. We are pleased to have with us and to introduce Ms. Lujain Al-Harbi, who has kindly agreed to join us in our group work activity today on the strategic planning component. Ms. Lujain is a highly skilled emergency medical services specialist and a certified strategic planning professional. She brings extensive experience from the role lead on the National Preparedness Index project and the International Health Regulation Emergency Management Capacity file within the Saudi Ministry of Health. Ms. Lujain has made significant contributions to enhancing Kingdom of Saudi Arabia emergency preparedness. Notably, she has participated in with the EMRO office of WHO in the development of strategic plan for the public health emergency operation centers. Her expertise, inshallah, will be a value in our group activity. So without any further ado, welcome Ms. Lujain Al-Harbi to our last part of today's session.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you, Dr. Hisham, for the kind introduction. And I'm very pleased to be here today. We'll talk to you, inshallah, after the group discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you, inshallah, in a while. Okay, guys. So today, group work, you saw already the instructions in the learning management system. So basically, the instructions will be as follows. We will be distributed to 3 groups, similar to the past group work we had with Dr. Sophia. Group 1 will have a scenario. The task for group 1 is to use the provided template to develop a strategic plan for a hypothetical institution. For group 2, they will be worked using the provided template as well, working on cascading the strategic objectives of a hypothetical institution as well, to give another dimension of exercising how we can cascade the strategic objectives as part of the strategic plan. The last group will be working on working on developing a policy and procedure using also the provided document related to the student assessment. I would like to emphasize an important point. Let's be strict about the time because we would like to make use of the attendance of Ms. Lujain with us to give some feedback and insights regarding the work being about the work that will be delivered from the groups, inshallah. Now, I would like to invite all the attendees and the participants to join the breakout rooms. Dr. Amar, if you help me to prepare the breakout rooms, that would be great. Thank you. So the breakout rooms are ready now. I'd like to invite everyone to join the respective group from the 3 rooms. Thank you very much. See you in 1 hour, inshallah. So, Bismillah, we resume our activity as usual. We'll start by group 1, followed by group 2, followed by group 3. Each group will have 10 minutes to present, then followed by 5 minutes for feedback and Q&As, and then we'll move to the second group and so on. So group 1, please share your screen and present your outcome.
طيب, Assalamu alaikum. This is Rani Muhammad from Group 1. I will be presenting on behalf of Group 1 and 2, which is institutional strategy, on-page institutional strategy. We had a scenario which we have worked on. We started with answering these questions, and then we moved on to making the strategy. The first question that we had, what is the competitive strategy that best matches our capabilities? I assume that you have seen the scenario, فأنا I will start طوالي في questions. طيب, الانستيتيوت حقتنا الكومبتيتيف استراتيجي حقتها we agreed إن هي تكون to be a regional leader in innovative healthcare education and technology. The second question was what kind of organizational values should support our mission to be a leader in innovative healthcare, اللي هي 4 or 5 things: innovation, leadership, excellence, i.e. اللي هي يعني excellence in terms of quality and education, collaboration and ethics. تمام. طيب, why do we exist as a actually it's not as a company, as an institute? What is the positive change we create and how? اللي هو ال starting point حقتنا حاليا, and what we would like to add اللي هو to graduate competent practitioners who are socially accountable, who are leading in healthcare delivery and who are professional. تمام. طيب, the fourth question was what kind of organization should we be in 10 years from now to fully deliver on the promise of our mission, اللي هي to remind you of our mission to be innovative, leading in innovative healthcare. So in 10 years we'd be leading in innovative healthcare regionally. طيب, what is the best growth option to reach our strategic objectives? اللي هي to invest in innovative technology in teaching and to invest in research and in research technologies. طيب if you can zoom out السكرين حبة يا هدى. طيب the next question is what does that mean؟ اللي هي الحتة بتاعت to lead I mean to have an innovative technologies and in innovative research اللي هو حيكون عندنا innovative technologies في اللابس حقتنا في laboratories في research department to be able يعني to achieve الحاجات اللي قلناها دي. طيب to be there in 10 years or to be here in 10 years, where do I need to be in 3? In 3 years, we would like to have an actually fully equipped labs, laboratories or skill labs. We have well-functioning departments. We should be starting conducting research in healthcare and to start collaborations with agencies to conduct research. طيب. The last question is how will be the strategy executed اللي هو through departmental actions ولا institutional projects. ال biggest strategy حقتنا will be mainly through an institutional project اللي هو corporation project. طيب we will move on to ال one page strategy. طيب عفوا first on قلنا ال competitive strategy حقتنا will be to adopt a competency-based curriculum, innovative education, and leading in research. طيب then we broke down that to 3 values اللي هي لو شايفين ال 3 values كلها بتصب بعدين في ال competitive strategy حقتنا وهي جاية أصلا من الميشن. طيب الميشن to graduate highly competent exceptional leaders who can lead in healthcare and in research. تمام. الvalues اللي هي في related للميشن حقتنا دي are innovation, leadership and ethics. طيب الفيجن بتاعتنا to be a leading institute in healthcare, education and research on a regional scale. طيب what growth strategy will be adopting? We will be adopting a strategy of investing in innovative technology when it comes to education, i.e. In labs and skill labs, hospitals, and the latest technology when it comes to our research department. طيب بعد ده هنمشي to break down ال long term objectives حقتنا وال strategic objective ال strategic institutional objective. تمام. طيب ال 3 long term institutional objective اللي هي to have to adopt a technology driven learning, to graduate competent physicians, to graduate competent researchers. طيب ال first strategy هتكون to have a highly equipped labs or let's say to create highly equipped labs. Second strategy to adopt an innovative curriculum. The third strategy is to build a research department. طيب في last table ده اللي هو we will specify كل strategy حتكون ماشية in which way. اللي هو first strategy قلنا to have a highly equipped labs. هنا دي حتكون institutional project حيكون to finance and to purchase the latest equipments when it comes to our laboratories and the skill labs. The second strategy اللي هي innovative curriculum which will be an institutional project, but there will also be a leading department اللي هو department أو let's say اللي هو ال educational center في الجامعة يعني، وهيكون collaboration between كل ال departments that are leading in a way or another to deliver ال innovative curriculum. ال institutional project في الحتة دي اللي هو to adopt an innovative curriculum / meaning which is integrated, adopting simulation-based and PPL and TPL and in general innovative teaching strategies. A third strategy اللي هي to have a research department, leading department. احنا actually we didn't discuss the last point, but يعني أنا من هنا هقول إنه إحنا we assume إنه هيكون ال leading department مثلاً ال community medicine department or to have a separate department for research. That's it. دي كده اللي إحنا ال one page in strategy الانستيتوت حقتنا. If you have any questions or feedback, you are more than welcome.
Thank you very much. I will start first if the colleagues have some questions to the group from other groups. Do you have any questions to group one? Okay, so I'll leave the mic now to Mr. Dian Al-Harb to comment on the group work and provide some insights and feedback.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Group One. Well done. I would like to first go to the first question. What's the competitive strategy that best matches our capabilities? You've done well with the answer. I would, however, suggest in addition to this kind of question, which is mentioning how you would, what's the competitive strategy and how you would implement it. So perhaps you would say that you would like to focus on establishing an institution that's a regional leader in this particular profession. Then you will, how will you conduct this kind of competitive strategy? You might offer a hybrid learning approach. For example, you would combine practical and theoretical knowledge together. Also, you might be looking to having strong partnerships with local and international healthcare institutions. Furthermore, you could have high investment in research and innovation, which would put this institution into a leader in the medical research department. Also, you could have yourself differentiated from other similar institutions by having high quality faculty development, such as to ensure that educators are well equipped with the modern technologies and advancements. And these things that I mentioned will be utilized furthermore in the following questions. So when we go to question 2, I think you've done a very well done with their the values that you need, and we could maybe add something like student-centeredness, so that you will be focusing more on students, their academic and personal and professional growth, by having any kind of support that you see as fit. For the third questions, which is why we exist as a company, what's the positive change we create and how, we might want to focus here on the purpose of this institution. So your purpose might be that you exist to equip healthcare professionals with the skills and knowledge that they need to advance in this current age and time, and then you will elaborate more on how. So we will go back to the first question. You will now foster innovative teaching, you will encourage research, you will have very strong partnerships with both local and international, and so on. With the fourth question, what kind of what kind of institution you would like to be in 10 years. So we will chunk it down into smaller periods. So in 3 years, where do you see yourself at? So here you might say that you want to be accredited nationally. You might want to be having international partnerships. You might want to have a strong research portfolio, and mention how you will be leading in this kind of way. So the fifth question, what's the best growth option? Your growth strategy will need to have some kind of elaboration. So you may already have research capabilities, but now you need to expand on it. And you may already have partnerships, but you may want to have a more strategic, stronger bonds with these partnerships. How will you enhance your practical training for the students? Because it's part of your vision. You want to have theoretical and practical knowledge that are very strong and competing with other similar institutions. Also, you may consider having external fundings and grants to support both your educational and research goals. So for the sixth question, what does this mean? Referring to the previous question, what do you need to implement your growth strategy? So now, if you already have a research department, or you need to have a stronger infrastructure for it. Also, you would like to maybe prioritize the faculty recruitment and have capacity building programs for them. Also, having these partnerships that you've already established to be long-term. You may want to ensure that they're long-term. And also to establish a solid financial plan to support all of this growth. So everything that I'm saying is, it's not repetitive, as it's more like for each area, how are we going to deal with this kind of value or growth strategy that we want. We just elaborate more on each one of those. So the seventh question, where do you need to be in 3 years to see yourself, your vision for yourself in 10 years? So where do you need to be in 3? Now you will have to think about maybe how can I have a national accreditation before getting the international accreditation? How can I be nationally recognized and well established? What are the 3 or 5 key partnerships that I need to strengthen my clinical training and research collaborations? How can I increase my faculty research output by a certain percentage? May it be 30, 35, a percentage that I need to reach in 3 years. Okay, so how can I have a comprehensive student mentorship and support programs, which are aimed to support me in my core values? Also, maybe you would like to consider how to secure an initial research funding, and then work on solidifying this funding or grant source. The 8th question, and I believe it's the final question, how will this strategy be executed? You mentioned cooperation, but how about we consider a combination of both the departmental actions and the corporate? They kind of complement each other in such ways that the departmental actions would include the faculty development programs, the student support services, and the curriculum redesign. Now we're focusing on the members that will ensure how to establish this plan, this strategic plan. As for the corporate projects, we may want to elaborate that it would be having research labs, ensuring we have an international accreditation, and also forming those partnerships that we've previously mentioned. All of these together combined will actually help us to reach our strategic goals eventually. So this is on my end. If there is any question or any query, please go ahead. Otherwise, Dr. Hisham, you may have some more input.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for you, Mr. Jane, and for the group. And I know your time is tight, so I'll try to have the second group to present so that we can have much of your time and providing more insights to the second group, and perhaps the third group as well. I would like here to invite group number 2, and thank you once again, group number 1, for presenting the one-page institutional strategy. Group number 2, you're up. Please share your screen. You have 10 minutes to present. Thank you.
Dr. Hisham,
Yes.
excuse me, you can go for group 3.
You can present whatever you already did so far, no problem. Please share your screen. Thank you. Dr. Hila. Or anyone from group 2, just you can reflect, or even if you didn't finish, it's okay. You can start presenting whatever you did so far, and perhaps we can take some insights from Jane before she leaves.
Okay, I'm waiting just for the screen share.
All right, thank you. Group 2, who will share the screen from his end? Dr. Hila.
Our task was about departmental objective. I'm just waiting for the screen share.
The scenario was about strategy, development of clinical department of clinical education.
Dr. Hiba, you're muted.
I'm just waiting Dr. Talha for the screen share.
وعليكم
وعليكم السلام.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Hiba. On behalf of Group 2, I'm going to present our task today. We have a scenario about strategy development.
Sorry for interrupting you, Dr. Hiba. Did you use the template that we provided for the exercise?
Yes, we use it.
All right. So are we expecting to have the same template with in a slide, or you're going to use the template later after you're presenting your slide?
Yes, after I presenting the slides, we will going to share the template.
All right. Please go ahead. Thank you.
We have been appointed to strategic development team for a new Department of Clinical Education in a newly established School of Medicine. The department is responsible for overseeing the clinical training of medical students and ensure that they gain practical skills through hospital rotations, simulated environment. The department must align its strategic goals with a broader institutional vision of becoming a regional leader in healthcare education. Our task is to develop a comprehensive strategy for the Department of Clinical Education. To develop this strategy, we based on the strategy medicine, which are 6 objectives. Objective 1 is to foster innovation, teaching, and learning methods. Objective 2 is to promote the culture of research and knowledge generation. Strategic objective 3 is to establish collaboration with health care institution, research center, and industry to provide the student with practical exposure. On the objective 4, we focus on the student support service, professional development program, and mentorship to ensure high student satisfaction, retention, and success in national and international exams. Objective 5, focus on the financial plan that support the institution growth and sustainability while fostering the innovations and quality improvement in education and research. The last objective is to build the institution reputation by achieving international accreditation and recognition. Dr. Talha will share the form that split these objectives to small objectives for this department. Dr. Talha, please can you share the form? In the form, there is columns. Each column is about one of the objectives from the strategic objective 1 until the objective 6.
Dr. Hiba, you are mute.
I'm just waiting for the screen share for the form. We took each school objective and start to put our department objective in align with this objective. The objective 1 is considering innovation in teaching and learning methods. So our departmental objective.
Sorry for interrupting you, Dr. Hiba. I'm not sure if you're sharing the slide or Dr. Talha. You're supposed to share the template.
Yes, I'm waiting for him.
All right, just to make the most benefit of your presentation and
Sorry,
our
I'm being
colleagues can
confused.
follow. Sorry?
Sorry, I'm being confused.
So perhaps you would like to share the template, stop sharing and share the other template. دكتور طلحة.
أيوة معك يا دكتور.
Do you have the template ready?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead and share your slide. Thank you.
This is our form. It divided into objectives from objective 1 to objective 6. The first objective, they ask about contribution of the department to this objective. We write yes because we are going to directly involve in monitoring of clinical training of the student. The new project is introduce simulation-based learning. The activity is the clinical rotation using simulation labs by providing skilled, well-trained trainers, provide the logbook for the student and adjust the timetable. And the output is to test the student performance using OSCE examination. For the Dr. Talha, please, can you focus on objective 2? Objective 2 is focusing on the research. So the department objective is to enhance research, establish a research department, guide the student by set clear expectations. And for the objective 3, was about the strong collaboration between the healthcare institutions and research center. We didn't yet fill this role. The fourth objective is about the student support service. We involve directly in focusing on the student support by developing professional development programs and provide constructive feedbacks for the students. The fifth objective should be about the financial plan to support the institutional growth. And the sixth should be about international accreditation recognition. We didn't fill them yet. Sorry for this inconvenience. We will going to fill the rest. Thank you very much.
All right, perhaps just give us your thoughts. What do you think for the remaining strategic objectives? What do you think? What is the appropriate approach from your perspective that you can cascade them in your department, clinical education department? Just few thoughts from your end or the group.
For the fifth objective, we are not involved directly in finance. Just we have a recommendation to have adequate fund to plan institutional growth and fostering innovation and quality improvement in education and research.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hiba. Well done. From the other peers, do you have any questions to Dr. Hiba or the group, other groups? Do you have any questions to group 1? Group 2, sorry. Okay. So I would like to invite you, Ms. Vijay, to give us some feedback and insight on the output of group 2 in this particular exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hisham. Thank you, Dr. Hiba, Dr. Talha, Group 2, for your work and your nice presentation. So let's go over these objectives one by one. The purpose of this slide is to is to, we may have the screen on, it's okay. Is to have a specific approach to how to accomplish these objectives. So the first objective was directed towards having an innovative teaching, which ensures the best learning methods for both the practical and the theoretical knowledge, and also to prepare the healthcare professionals for any kind of challenge they may face. So, is there any contribution for the first column? Here the answer would be yes, and it's a direct contribution. So what kind of project will support this objective? Again, the objective is to enhance student clinical training through simulation labs. So the project we would have to implement this objective is to establish a fully equipped simulation center or centers. The activities that we have to do to ensure this, the succession of this objective, such as KPIs or targets, it would be to have regular clinical rotations in a simulated environment. Specifically, the activity that we need to do is to have simulation lab training. If we have a KPI or a target, we would maybe target 100% simulation lab availability. As for the process of this KPI, we would like to ensure that at least 95% of students are actually participating in this lab, in this simulation training. The output that we expect is to have an improved clinical skills, which is measured through the practical exam. So please, anyone from group 2, if you would like to maybe share that template again, so we can follow one by one with the columns.
And Dr. Talha, please share the screen, the template. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. So moving on to the objective number 2. It's in short, it's to improve the faculty development programs. So yes, there is a direct contribution to this objective. The specific activity that we have to do, the specific project that we have to do to implement this objective would be to launch a faculty training or an innovative teaching method. This would be done by, now I'm on the business as usual column. We would have faculty development workshops to ensure that this training would go well. The activity itself would be 100% faculty attendance to these workshops. This would be the target. As for the KPI, the KPI and the targets, we would like to maybe adopt 3 new teaching methodologies for this specific objective. And we would aim to increase the student satisfaction by 20% in the time period of 2 years. So since it's a strategic objective, we have the time frame, we can decide the time frame that we need to implement these objectives. Moving on to objective number 3, which is to develop student supporting programs. We would be contributing to this objective, but in an indirect way. And the project that we would have is to create a mentorship and counseling initiatives. So this would be translated as mentorship programs and counseling. The specific activity would be to have 90% student participation rate in order for this to see any kind of fruition. The input of this KPI is to have a positive feedback of at least 95% from students, and a 10% reduction in student dropout rates. This is how we would actually measure and see how this kind of project is going of the objective. The fourth objective was to collaborate with international healthcare institutions. This is also would be considered an indirect approach to achieve it. The project that we need to have is to have some kind of international healthcare exchange program. Now, the business that we need to do is to have develop an exchange agreement with such institutions. And the activity is to have at least five agreements to be signed and agreed upon with these institutions. The input of the KPI would be to target at least 85% of students to be participated in this exchange program. The target would be to increase the global exposure of this institution and to have better research opportunities for the students. The fifth objective is to have a promotion of the culture of research. It's a direct approach. The project we would have is to have research support for students and the faculty. How can we do this? Probably by having workshops and such activities to ensure the implementation. So now we would maybe look at 70% increase in research proposals. And our KPIs would aim to have an 80% increase in student research publications. Also to have a target of 50% increase in collaborative research and initiatives. So the collaboration is being frequently mentioned because they build upon each other, the objectives. And finally, the sixth objective is to have a financial sustainability. If you recall, we previously mentioned this point in the institution whole strategic plan. So now this is considered an indirect approach. The project would be to develop a funding strategy for departmental projects. The business as usual activities would be to have fundraising and external grants. Also to have, as part of the activities, 100% of the projects to be funded. The KPI targets would be to have regular reporting on the fund utilization. So now you would see how much are you benefiting from this fund, how much has been, did you exceed it, did you need more, and so on. And the target of this is to have a long-term financial sustainability. This is the end of my part of the feedback on this template. Please feel free to ask any kind of question or any input. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jane, for giving us the opportunity and participating in this activity for batch 5 quality and accreditation course. Although your busy schedule, so thank you again. And on behalf of the EDC administration and the Master of Health Professional Education coordination team, again, would like to extend our greatest appreciation for you, having you with us, participating in this activity. And before you leave, I know you have a busy schedule, so you did already very much. Thank you very much. However, I would like to ask you few final motivation words for the group.
Thank you, Doctor. Yes, of course. So having this kind of session having this kind of session to have a strategic plan, to have a futuristic vision is a highly appreciated and highly adored, actually admired thing that we can do, especially in the hardships that we may be going through. So I'm actually admiring how people will keep going despite anything that's happening anywhere in the world. The strategic plans, the business continuity, any kind of anything that's related to this topic just ensures that we have a solid mindset that helps us to keep going no matter what is going on, and to have a backup plan. We have virtual sessions across the world, from Saudi Arabia to Sudan. The implementation of technology, the virtual teaching, it's all falling into still going, despite everything. So thank you all for attending. The number of attendance is actually amazing. I hope that you will guys keep going and you will really implement this in your day-to-day life and even in your institution. And I hope to see you in future sessions. Thank you again, Dr. Hisham, for this opportunity. Thank you all for attending. I wish you all the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good luck in your current research and expected publication. Perhaps I will share it with the team once it's done, if you don't mind. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, colleagues, now we'll go to group 3. You can start sharing the screen.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Noura Mohammed on behalf of Group 3. We're presenting the policy and procedure for the student assessment. Okay, for this newly developed medical school, just for the record, بيكون في سجل السياسة، يعني بتكتب رقم الإصدار، ملاحظات التعديل، تاريخ آخر تعديل. بما إنه ده إصدار جديد وما كان في previous يعني إصدار، فما حيكون عندنا ملاحظات التعديل. رقم الإصدار بالعادة بيكون يعني عبارة عن كود ومعاه نمبر، يعني ميكس بين أرقام ولترز. ممكن نبدأ بعنوان السياسة. سياسة التقييم الأكاديمي لطلاب كلية الطب. رقم السياسة ممكن مثلا لو افترضنا إنه معمول لجامعة أم درمان يكون أم درمان إسلاميك يونيفرسيتي، إنه يعني ده الكود و01 ميديكال سكول كده. جهة إصدار السياسة مكتب الامتحانات والتقييم بالكلية. بديل للسياسة رقم خليناها بلانك لأنه ما كانت بديل. مستوى السياسة أو بمعنى آخر نوع السياسة، قررنا أنها حتكون سياسة داخلية لأنها بتخص الكلية فقط. تاريخ الاعتماد، تاريخ التطبيق، وتاريخ المراجعة القادمة. برضو دي يعني اقتراحات للتواريخ. الغرض من السياسة تحديدا ضمان أن تكون عملية التقييم عادلة وموثوقة وشفافة وفقا لمعايير التعليم المطلوبة. نطاق التطبيق، مين من الكلية يقع عليه وإنه يطبق السياسة اللي إحنا حنصها بعد شوية. جميع الأساتذة، جميع مساعدي التدريس، جميع الممتحنين الخارجيين، جميع العاملين بمكتب الامتحانات، جميع المراقبين، وأيضا جميع الطلاب. التعاريف، حنعرف الممتحن الخارجي اللي هو external examiner هو خبير أكاديمي مستقل من خارج كلية الطب يتم تعيينه لتقييم أداء الطلاب في الامتحانات النهائية أو المشاريع البحثية أو غيرها من الأنشطة الأكاديمية، وذلك لضمان موضوعية ونزاهة عملية التقييم. نشوف نص السياسة. يتم اختيار الممتحن الخارجي بناء على الدرجة العلمية وبعد ترشيح عدد من الممتحنين ويتم اختيار من تم التوافق عليه من قبل لجنة الامتحانات حسب لوائح الكلية وإيفينشولي بموافقة الشؤون العلمية. الإجراء عشان يكون مفصل إنه أول حاجة حيكون في ترشيح لأكثر من ممتحن خارجي لمجموعة من الممتحنين الخارجيين، يتم الترشيح حسب الدرجة العلمية والكفاءة والمؤهلات. يتم ترشيح نفس الممتحن الخارجي لمدة لا تزيد عن 2 سنين. يجب تزويد الممتحن الخارجي بالمستندات المطلوبة قبل وقت كافي من الامتحان. يتم تنوير الممتحن الخارجي بالقواعد العامة للكلية. مخطط الإجراء: يتم ترشيح الممتحن الخارجي من قبل الأساتذة في القسم المعين. يتم اختيار من تم التوافق عليه وتوافق الأغلبية عليه وتم اعتماده من مجلس الكلية والشؤون العلمية. مقياس الأداء، المؤشرات أو بمعنى آخر indicators. يشير قياس الأداء للمختبر الخارج إلى تقييم مدى كفاءة وفاعلية الأداء الأكاديمي للطلاب في الامتحانات المعيارية التي تجرى خارج إطار المؤسسة التعليمية. المرجع: لوائح مكتبة الامتحانات والمرفقات، لائحة الكلية للامتحانات، بالإضافة إلى زي ما كان عندنا في الكورس بتاع الأسسمنت اللي هو الأوسكي بلو برينت، الأسسمنت روبريكس وغيرها من الكتيبات اللي بتوضح عملية الأسسمنت بالنسبة للممتحن الخارجي. عنوان السياسة as a final statement هي سياسة التقييم الأكاديمي لطلاب كلية الطب. رقم السياسة ممكن نشير له بالكود تحت. جهة إصدار السياسة اللي هو مكتب الامتحانات والتقييم. مستوى السياسة هي سياسة إجرائية داخلية لأنه تخص إجراء معين بالامتحانات. تاريخ الاعتماد أسفله، تاريخ التطبيق وتاريخ المراجعة القادمة. آخر حاجة اللي هي التواقيع والموافقين على السياسة اللي هو الإعداد. الاسم دكتور رزاز محمد، المنصب رئيس القسم، التوقيع كما هو والتاريخ. وبقية أعضاء اللجنة مثلا دكتورة رؤى هاشم نائب الرئيس ودكتورة أمل عبد الله عميد كلية الطب. That's all. Thank you.
الله يديكم العافية ومبروك تعيينك رئيس قسم، ومبروك لدكتورة أمل. الله يديكم العافية. nicely done. طيب
تستاهل فعلا.
ربنا يديكم العافية. طيب
تسلم يا دكتور.
خلينا ندي perhaps يعني لو تقولي بس للزملاء كده مقدمة بسيطة على الكيس شنو بالضبط عندكم.
طيب الكيس هي كانت مطلوب مننا نعمل as a assessment department أو a part a team from the assessment department. المطلوب إنه نعمل policy and procedure ننص عليها فيما يخص ال student assessment.
اوكي
The
comprehensive the
department is
keyword.
comprehensive.
في
Yes.
keyword هنا comprehensive، مش كده؟ نسيتيها مش كده؟
أيوة comprehensive policy.
اوكي
Exactly.
طيب مطلوب
فنظرا لضيق الزمن يعني ما قدرنا غير نعمل بوليساية واحدة.
it's okay it's reasonable. بالعكس nicely done. الله يعطيكم العافية. ولو تسمحوا لي أنا يعني حاتطرق لبعض الملاحظات لكن
تفضل يا دكتور.
وبعض الانسايتس، لكن نتيح الفرصة أول إذا كان في أي أسئلة وأجوبة. في بعض الأسئلة كانت في الشات related ل following topics. I will address it in a moment. No worries إن شاء الله. لكن بالنسبة لبقية المجموعات، هل في سؤال من المجموعات ل مجموعة رقم 3 دكتورة رانيا؟ Please go ahead.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم
طيب أنا
السلام.
بس كان سؤالي عن الحتة بتاعت نطاق التطبيق. لأنه هو يعني في البوليسي اللي كانت مذكورة mainly concerning choosing an external examiner، فحسيت إن هي ما يعني ما حتكون relevant لكل الناس دي خصوصا للستودنتس. لكن now it makes sense يعني إن هم قالوا بس ده part of the policy، ف I think I understand ليه الجزئية دي موجودة يعني كل الناس دي.
Yes, طبعا here it should or supposed to be a comprehensive policy. However, they managed to finalize one of them, I assume. But you're right. طيب عايزين تردوا مجموعة 3 على استفسار دكتور رانيا؟
فعلا كلام دكتورة رانيا يعني هو does make sense. بس إذا إحنا حنمسك كل البارتس حقت الأسسمنت يعني ما حنقدر نفصلهم كلهم، فاخترنا إنه يعني نمسك واحدة أتليست ونكمل عليها.
طيب.
يعني مثلا كان عندنا في كم يعني من البروبوزد ايدياز إنه نتكلم عن النزاهة والشفافية بمعنى الغش والسلوكات الغير أخلاقية فيما يخص الامتحان،
مم.
المعايير الأكاديمية، الإجراءات التأديبية، التوجيه والدعم، التقييم والمراجعة. فكلها كان يعني تمشي فيما يخص الرؤية بتاعت إنه ضمان بيئة امتحانية عادلة وموثوقة تعزز من جودة التعليم.
Yes.
لكن if we wanted يعني to go through الديتيلز حقتها يعني غير كده مع الدسكشن عشان ناخد statements واضحة، يعني حسينا إنه ممكن نأجل حبة.
Okay.
ف we
So
were not lucky إنه الزمن خلص.
it's okay. It's okay. وبالتالي it's an invitation to continue on this exercise even after the session لأنه it's very useful. Again, all the facilitators will be there to support you if there are any queries.
إن
طيب
شاء الله فشكرا.
خلينا نمر عليها مع بعض كده وبعض النقاط للجميع. لو لاحظتوا هنا مستوى السياسة ونوع السياسة، وتحت في النهاية مكتوب مستوى السياسة ونوع السياسة. They should be the same. تحت عملته سياسة إجرائية وهنا ذكرته إنه سياسة عامة. طيب هو الفرق شنو يعني بين السياسة العامة والمشتركة والسياسة الداخلية؟ Are they the same؟ مختلفين؟ الاختلافات شنو من وجهة نظرك؟ أو everyone from group 3؟ اتفضلي دكتور نور، اتفضلي.
تقريبا السياسة العامة هي فيما يخص السياسات اللي جاية من الستيك هولدرز، مثلا من المجلس الطبي أو من مجلس التعليم العالي أو كده. لكن السياسة الداخلية تتعلق بالكلية نفسها في هذه الجامعة المعنية، الامتحانات، التعيين يعني. فالكلية لها رأي في إنه كيف تدور الشؤون الداخلية حقتها. فده كان مفهومنا يعني للفرق بين عامة وداخلية.
يس. هو عامة depends يعني خلينا نستخدم بعض التيرمز الخاصة بالريسيرش. العامة دي depends on the population. يعني هي عامة للجامعة بكل الكليات اللي فيها بكل كذا، فهنا نقدر نستخدم اللفظ اللي هو الترم عام. الشيء الثاني السياسة الداخلية زي ما تفضلت هي اللي بتطبق على مستوى الانستيتيوت أو الانتيتي هي نفسها فقط. It's only for it. ممكن تكون department، والكلية بالنسبة للجامعة ممكن تكون سياسة داخلية للجامعة، ممكن تكون سياسة داخلية لوحدة، وهكذا. السياسات المشتركة هي بتكون across departments أو across entities within the same population. فده الفرق بين الاثنين. طيب if you scroll down بعد إذنك. طيب بالنسبة لل a bit up، معلش أنا آسف، أطلع فوق شوية بس. Yes. To emphasize على موضوع نطاق التطبيق is very important. وبالتالي أول ما تقول السياسة عامة ولا داخلية، نطاق التطبيق مع الغرض should address this point. It's very important يكون في some sort of alignment في هذا الجانب. سياسة داخلية، طيب سياسة داخلية مين involved في تطبيقها؟ مين بالضبط؟ بناء على نوعه وبناء على غرضه. This should be reflected in this point. Now بالنسبة للتعاريف هنا عادة أنت بتضع كل التعاريف اللازمة لتطبيق هذه السياسة. طبعا given that you define only الممتحن الخارجي، لأن السياسة هنا ممتحن الخارجي، it's acceptable. However الأمر هنا بيخضع لتفاصيل كثيرة. It should be a comprehensive policy. هنا ممكن يكون في تفاصيل ثانية أو تعريف ثانية related لهذا الموضوع. دكتور ناجي you're raising your hand، اتفضل.
لا، أنا بس كان داير أسأل سؤال. لو صوتي واضح. طيب، بالنسبة للمستوى بتاع السياسة، انت هسي يعني نحن قسمناها قلنا لثلاثة: لعامة
مهم.
ومشتركة وداخلية. طيب،
صحيح.
الليفل بتاع الثلاثة تقسيمات دي، السياسة اللي بتطبق في المؤسسة هي حتكون يا في حالة تعارض يعني
ما
في حالة
فهمت.
تعارض. لو
مهم.
لو كان مثلا يعني السياسة العامة مثلا بتاعت الجامعة إنها
مهم.
تمتحن على دورتين، تمام،
مهم.
دي سياسة عامة. لكن
صحيح.
مثلا الناس الكلية عندهم سياسة داخلية إنه لا، يكملوا السنة ويمتحنوا في نهايتها، على أساس إنه مثلا محتاجين له، لأنه مثلا في ستاندردايزيشن معين مثلا في الكليات الطبية.
ممتاز. فهمتك. فهمتك. هنا
مثلا
سؤالك
بيكونوا
على
يقول لك والله
التعارض.
الامتحان النهائي ده مفترض يكون لو حصل تعارض بين السياستين، السياسة اللي
ممتاز.
بتمشي أتى والمخرج منها بيكون كيف؟
ممتاز
يعني ممكن.
ممتاز. ممتاز، دي نقطة مهمة ودقيقة جدا. هنا موضوع السياسات والإجراءات بيخضع لما تخضع له الأهداف الاستراتيجية بنفس الكونسيبت. يعني ما مفروض تتعارض السياسات، والسياسات العامة should be cascaded لسياسات داخلية لتطبيق هذه السياسات العامة. ideally ما مفروض يحصل هذا التعارض. عشان كده لو نزلت تحت، آه، انزلي لاخر جزء بعد اذنك دكتوره نوره، اللي هو الجزء الاعتماد. اخر شيء، اخر حاجه. لو لاحظت هنا في سجل للاعداد وسجل للمراجعه. المراجعه دي بقى بيكون فيها جانبين: جانب له علاقه بالجزء الفني اللي هو technical writing of a policy and a procedure، والجانب الثاني اللي هو جانب المواءمه او الالاينمنت. فهنا we will go back and review everything. دي الاولى، to make sure انه ما في اي contradiction between an internal policy and other higher policies اللي هو سياسات عامه. رقم اثنين، لو طلعت كمان فوق شويه، scroll up a little bit. Yes, yes. طيب، هنا I would like to draw your attention to two things. الحاجة الأولى اللي هي المرجع شنو؟ الريفرنس هنا بيكون عادة لوائح تنظيمية أو سياسات عامة في حال كان الموضوع سياسة داخلية. فهنا أنت يريفير لمرجعك لبناء هذه السياسة الداخلية to make sure إنه في alignment. نمبر 2، المرفقات نفسها عادة هنا بترفق للاعتماد السياسة العامة برضو، أو اللي بتبنى عليها الموضوع ده، وممكن يكون قرارات، ممكن يكون تفاصيل ثانية to make sure برضو إنه في sort of alignment. إذا in a nutshell what I would like to address here إنه موضوع السياسات هي زي الفين دياجرام. السياسة العامة هي السياسة الأكبر داخل السياسات المشتركة، داخل السياسات الداخلية، ولازم يكون في alignment بيناتهم وما يكون في contradiction. طيب لما ده يحصل for any reason which is unlikely، هنا بتحصل المراجعة وبيتم مراجعتها فوق زي ما لاحظنا. لو رجعنا فوق كمان دكتورة نورا لأول if you go up. yes yes. هنا لما انت تصدر السياسه او تحدثها بتقول السياسه دي بديل لسياسه كذا، بديل للسياسه رقم كذا. ده واحد من الكيسز اللي ممكن يحصل فيها تبديل للسياسه، يعني تبديل بمعنى تحديث او تبديل بمعنى تصحيح in case which is unlikely to be يعني approved من الجهه المعنيه وتصدر يعني. فده فيما يتعلق بالcontradiction. I hope I answer your question. طيب، if you scroll down go back للإجراءات بعد إذنك. طيب، دائما في الإجراءات الإجراءات نص الإجراءات وخطواتها يجب أن ينعكس تحت في مخطط. المخطط هنا نحن بنسترشد بالسيشن الأدوات اللي كلمتنا عنها دكتورة صفية في يوم الأربعاء. بنستخدم الفلو تشارتس، وعادة بيكون في كتيب لتعريف اللي هو الخطوات الإجرائية للعمليات في كل مؤسسة. What we saw is the commonest واللي استعرضناه في ال previous group work of how to develop a flow chart. However هنا في مخطط الإجراء نفسه عادة بنكتب الكلام ده، بنستخدم flow chart that reflects الإجراءات اللي ذكرت فوق. Going back to point number 7 دكتورة نورة, if you scroll down. طيب point number 7 اللي هو مقياس الأداء أو المؤشرات بين قوسين، وده بربطه بالسؤال اللي سألته الدكتورة رشاء in a moment about ال KPI. إذا بس رجعت لسؤالة بالضبط to be precise. How do you choose the performance indicators؟ ده إن شاء الله حيكون عندنا سيشن يوم الأربعاء بحول الله عشان نجاوب النقطة دي بالتفصيل، لأنه ده سؤال مهم جدا ونحن ما عايزين نختزل من هذا الجانب في هذا السيشن. لكن عشان أربط ما بين سؤال حضرتك وسؤال البوينت نمبر 7، هنا عادة في مقياس الأداء we put certain KPIs related للimplementation of the policy itself, not defining them. من ال PIs and then KPIs. Performance indicators هو عبارة عن مؤشر قياس عام، لكن يكون رئيسي ولا لا هنا بتختار المؤشر اللي بيناسب هذه السياسة ويرتبط بها بشكل دقيق جدا. ليه الكلام ده مهم؟ لأنه ده واحدة من الأدوات، مؤشرات الأداء واحدة من الأدوات اللي بتساعدك تشوف تطبيقك للسياسة ماشي في أي اتجاه، هل هو اتجاه إيجابي أو اتجاه ثاني ولا لا. نحن بنحتاج نختار مؤشر أداء رئيسي لمتابعة تطبيقنا لهذه السياسة. Right? All overall, nicely done group 3. نحن الآن we came to the conclusion of the group work for today Saturday, and we have an announcement إن شاء الله تعالى. Next Wednesday حيكون عندنا the webinar about the key performance indicators. We are thrilled to announce إنه إن شاء الله حيكون الويبينار ده certified from التدريب والتعليم والبحث العلمي. So basically after attending a session بحول الله تعالى we'll have اللي هو a link to register. we're happy to announce إنه إن شاء الله حيتم إصدار شهادات here from Saudi Arabia related لهذا السيشن تحديدا. نحن نشكر الزملاء here في التدريب والتعليم والبحث العلمي لدعمهم في هذا الشيء ومساهمتهم في تشجيع الكانديديتس to pursue and continue في هذا الجانب. فهي مبادرة من جانبهم تشجيعية إنه whatever you're doing now is something admirable. They're happy to certify this session إن شاء الله يوم الأربعاء about the key performance indicators. So stay tuned إن شاء الله تعالى. I would like also to open the floor to my colleagues إذا كان في أي إضافات أو تعديلات. أنا حجاوب بس من بعد إذنكم. هنا في سؤال عن من الدكتورة صفا ما هو الفرق بين السياسة المشتركة والداخلية. طيب الفرق من الاسم. داخلية نحن we're talking about one entity. السؤال what exactly this entity would be. ممكن تكون unit، ممكن تكون department، ممكن تكون faculty. اوكي، لكن لما نقول مشتركة، مشتركة معناتها هنا في multiple departments, multiple units, multiple faculties sharing the same policy. فاجين انا يمكن ضربت المثال باستخدام اللي هو الكونسبت اوف ريسيرش عشان اوضح الفكره اكثر. مساله البوبوليشن ده مكان السياسه العامه، لكن داخل البوبوليشن جوا في سامبل. السامبلز دي ممكن تكون في ستراتا. الاستراتا دي لو اخذنا تو ستراتز دي خلاص معناتها مشتركه. تو ديبارتمنتس معناتها that's a shared policy. او تكون one department implementing one policy that we call اللي هو internal policy. Now ده بيقودني لانه انا اذكر نقطه مهمه جدا. تعاريف السياسات والبريك داون اوف السياسات وانواعها ونطاقها ده برضه بيخضع لقوانين او اطر وطنيه او اطر جامعيه او اطر الجوده بحسب اللي هو المؤسسه الكبير. لو ضربنا مثال، ويمكن حافتح الفرصه كمان لدكتوره صفيه سهل، تكلمنا على تقسيم انواع السياسات في السودان بشكل عام. اللي انا عايز اقوله هنا انه البريك داون اوف السياسات بيخضع لتعريفات ولتصنيفات بتعتمد على المؤسسه نفسها او الجهه المعنيه بالامر على المستوى الوطني. في المملكه العربيه السعوديه لارتباط ملف الاداء برؤيه المملكه العربيه السعوديه 2030 في بودي بنسميه اللي هو اسمه اداء مؤسسه او هيئه سموها اداء. هدف اداء في المملكه العربيه السعوديه to make sure انه كل المؤسسات الحكوميه ماشيه وفقا للخطه الاستراتيجيه للتحول في المملكه العربيه السعوديه وفقا لتعاريف وتفاصيل معينه. اهم الملفات اللي صدرت من قبل هيئه اداء اللي هو تعريف تفاصيل السياسات الوطنيه والمؤسسيه بمختلف انواعها، بحيث انه تعتبر guidance for كل الانستتيوشنز to be implemented. In a nutshell, what I would like to say here انه داخلية it means it should be implemented in one entity. Going back اللي عرضه دكتور عماد earlier today, ممكن تكون one department implementing a policy like emergency medicine department, and it can be different departments sharing the same policy, أو different hospital or different faculties. فالأمر بيعتمد على الصورة الكبيرة والbreak down of the definitions of those policies. Dr. Safia, would you like to add anything in this regard?
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
السلام
جميعاً.
ورحمة الله.
اليوم كان دسم زي ما بيقولوا، شكرا على كل المشاركات. زي ما تفضلت، السياسات ممكن تكون زي ما قلت عامة أو مشتركة أو داخلية. عندنا إحنا تجربتنا في الإدارة العامة للخدمات الطبية، عندنا سياسات عامة طبعا بطبيعة الحال حسب نشاط الديبارتمنت المعين، وفي حاجات بتكون مختصة بالديبارتمنت المعين، لكن في حاجات زي ما قلت مشتركة بين 2 or 3 departments، وفي حاجات حتى في أنظمة الجودة ستيل في بنقسم نظام إدارة الجودة وفي سياساته وإجراءاته لإجراءات عامة لا بد من تطبيقها في كل الديبارتمنتس بصيغة واحدة، يعني نفس تفاصيلها في أي ديبارتمنت من الديبارتمنتس المختلفة. أما طبيعة النشاط حسب نشاط الديبارتمنت المعينة فبيكون عندك سياساتك الداخلية هناك. earlier كان اتسأل سؤال عن التعارض بين السياسة العامة والسياسات الداخلية، وتفضلت أنت بإجابة سليمة 100% إنه يعني من المستبعد يحصل تعارض. ليش؟ لأنه الالاينمنت أو التوافق ده شيء أساسي، وأنت أساسا you break down or you cascade from الكوربريت، يعني السياسة العامة بتاعت الانستيتيوت أو المستشفى أو المؤسسة أو كده. فبالتالي لما يكون ده مرجعك وده يعني صياغاتك اللي بتصيغها للبوليسيز والبروسيجرز بتاعتك متفقة تماما مع السياسة العامة، كلها بيقول لك لازم تصب في تحقيق هدف المؤسسة ذاته. وبالتالي من المستبعد انه يكون في تعارض بين سياسة داخلية وسياسة عامة او سياسة مشتركة. فهو زي ما قلت لك تجربتنا كان في الإدارة العامة للخدمات الطبية، إن يعني كان عندنا نحن زي ما تقول من ال different departments representative في زي كونسل عاملينه تبع الإدارة بتاعت الكواليتي اللي كانت بتنسق الشغل ده، وكان عندنا periodic meetings وكده. ولذلك دائما لما تكون في صياغات للسياسات فبتكون يعني الناس عندها إحاطة تامة بتفاصيل سياسات أنشئت في إدارات مختلفة، وبيستفيدوا منها بعد ذلك في إنشاء سياساتهم الخاصة بالديبارتمنتس الخاصة. فدي الفكرة اللي احنا كنا شغالين عليها، سياسات عامة، سياسات مشتركة بطبيعة الحال حسب طبيعة النشاط، أو سياسات داخلية بتكون مختصة بالإدارة المعينة. وكل السياسات دي متسقة تمام الاتساق مع بعضها البعض، وبتصب في تحقيق هدف واحد عندنا كان في الإدارة العامة للخدمات الطبية، اللي هي تقديم خدمة صحية متكاملة بشكل يقد يعني مرضي بالنسبة للكاستمرز بتاعنا اللي هم العيانين بتاعين المستشفى العسكري حقنا. فدي الفكرة، ما في شيء مضاف. كان يعني أدائكم ما شاء الله والمواضيع comprehensive، خاصة لو في تعليق أنا أعلق كمان على الجزء الأول بتاع التخطيط الاستراتيجي، وكان ممتع. ويعني يمكن عمل لنا بالذات ريفيو كبير، لأنه يمكن بعيدة من النشاط لي سنة وزيادة، فاستعدت يعني زي ما بيقولوا ذكريات نشاطنا في التخطيط الاستراتيجي وكده، الرؤية والرسالة. وإحنا كان عملنا يعني شغل ممتاز كان في الإدارة العامة للخدمات الطبية. كان عندنا خطة استراتيجية الذات تايم كانت 2025، وكنا دايرين نكون أحد 5 أفضل مستشفيات بتقدم خدمة مش في السودان، in أفريقيا وكذا. وعملنا شغل very intensive كان، وجبنا يعني consultancies، ودربنا بدينا من الليدرشيب، توب ليدرشيب. حتى أول حاجة عملناها محاضرات في مكتب الغايد بتاع الإدارة العامة للخدمات الطبية معاه السينيور ستاف كله، وكان سيشن أشرف عليه بروف هادي التجاني، شخصية معروفة في مجال إدارة الجودة الشاملة. ومن ثم بعد ذاك أجرينا على مستويات مختلفة من الإمبلويز الموجودين في الحقل الصحي وبس. يعني كان شغل ممتاز عموما، وحددنا استراتيجيات معينة حنتبعها زي 7 استراتيجيات، ونفذنا شغل كان يعني ممتاز. فأتمنى أنا التوفيق للجميع، وننهض زي ما بيقولوا ببلدنا بالتزامنا بالمعايير بتاعت الأداء في أي مجال من المجالات، بالأخص في مجال الصحي. شكرا جزيلا لكم.
ألف شكر دكتورة صفية على كلماتك الحافلة حقيقة احنا محظوظين بتواجدك معنا في هذا البرنامج، ونلهب من تجاربك وخبرتك في مجال الجودة بشكل عام. لا أود أن أطيل عليكم. Perhaps I will conclude answering a question من دكتورة صفاء. Training policy is what type of policy? It can be all of the above. It depends on the issuer. ممكن تكون سياسة عامة خاصة بالتدريب، ممكن تكون سياسة مشتركة، ممكن تكون سياسة داخلية. It depends on the context and the context itself. So saying that, perhaps we conclude our session, and I would like to pass the microphone to Dr. Amal. Perhaps some candidates have some queries related to the individual assignment. I will pass the microphone to Dr. Amal Mashkoura to address those queries. جزيل الشكر لتواجدكم وحضوركم، وإن شاء الله نلتقي يوم الأربعاء. Again, the Wednesday session will be a certified session, so you will obtain a certificate of attendance and participation in that webinar بإذن الله تعالى, as part of the motivation for continuity of learning. You deserve, you spend a lot of efforts over the past months. This is a message to still going on and continue the hard work that you're doing. وبإذن الله تعالى الأمور تعود إلى أحسن حال. نختم بسبحانك اللهم وبحمدك، أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت، أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. دكتورة أمل, the microphone is yours.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله